Welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Romano. If you've been watching the news, you'll notice that Bitcoin has been dropping quite considerably. Unfortunately, because of how it's dropping and other indicators, that tells me that it's not just the economy that appears to be doing bad, but there's something else involved. Normally, when there's a economy or there's a stock market about to collapse, the stock charts of, let's say, the SPX, that's the S&P 500, or the NASDAQ, or the Dow, whatever it is, those charts tend to be very choppy right before a stock market collapse. I mentioned in a video on the first week of September of 2021, and I talked about the stock market, when it would go down, when it would go up, etc. When I seen what was happening, there was a change that was happening. It should not have gone down like it did. Because I knew something else was happening through the data, I predicted that whatever happened in January, February time period happened. For that type of chart to go down so much, normally that tells you the economy is very bad and there's issues that are happening. But it was something else. Russia was about to invade Ukraine, and before they invaded, they and other people were pulling out of our markets or shorting our markets or unwinding their positions because they knew what was going to happen. Or there was a possibility that the US government would confiscate their wealth. Whatever was pulling out of the market was apparent that, well, actually it was started in August, September time period of 2021. What was happening in August of September of 2021 concluded that it was January, February time period that the actual results would happen. And it did. The markets did go down and my predictions came true based on the data. I keep saying there's going to be a stock market collapse. I'm noticing that it's more of a smoother collapse. It's not that choppy type of collapse in 2008 and 2009 time period. That time period, it was very volatile and it was very choppy because what led to that was something else. Okay, that was the mortgage crisis back then. But today we have interest rates going up, and I know what it's like to work for an investment bank, especially on the trading floor, because every time interest rates change, the traders' portfolios are in red, and it looks very scary. So it's apparent that the volatility is quite low, not particularly low, but it's not particularly high either. So it just doesn't make sense. And back in 2021, in August, September time period, I noticed that there was almost like someone was pulling out of the markets. And I mentioned that in that video on September, the first week of September, I posted that video. And in that video, I mentioned it was like almost someone pulls out of the market. Well, that was because of the conflict with Ukraine and Russia. But the next conflict that's happening, and it's apparent in the data, is between July and the first week of September. If the next conflict happens, meaning I can't say the name of the country, but it starts with a C. Before we continue the video, please remember, if you want to say thank you because you enjoy my video, please do thumbs up. It's right there. All you have to do is click it. Thank you so much. So I don't want to mention the country's name, whatever it is, but you know what's going on in the media between the two next countries that are having a conflict or that may have a conflict, whatever it is. That situation, it's already showing in the data that it's going to happen or something else is going to happen during that time. For Bitcoin to go down so much as it did, that's scary. It's hitting... Right now, we're approaching crucial right now, we're approaching a crucial level for Bitcoin, and it doesn't make any sense why it's going down so much. but it could be that if there is a conflict in between mid-July and the first week of September, then that would make sense why they were pulling out of our markets. And they have more of a kind of a testing ground as to what happened with Russia and Ukraine, meaning that the governments around the world confiscated the government leaders' properties and boats and houses, etc. So if there's a conflict with the country that starts with a C, they're already prepared on how to deal with that by literally closing out their positions, selling real estate. I don't think they've sold real estate yet. Another big problem, because if they have more than $3 trillion worth of real estate in America alone, and they dump that real estate all at once, our markets will fall incredibly, because there'll be too much of a supply and not enough of a demand. It'll be the opposite of what it is now. And before I forget, please remember that if they're not buying up real estate in America, then how is that going to affect future prices in America? So real estate will drop at least 30% minimum, because if they already own more than $3 trillion worth of American real estate, that's what's propping up our markets, and that's what's also causing a supply issue, because they're just entering the markets and buying up whatever they want. They don't even care about the prices. So think about that. Think about if you don't have so much competition on the real estate market, then the prices, of course, will drop. Now, as for Bitcoin, that's what I'm seeing now in the Bitcoin charts. It makes no sense why Bitcoin is dropping so much. I'm so sorry. There's an investor out there, as I mentioned previous, that's pulling out of the markets. And that has to be not an investor, but a government, because a government has that kind of money to do that. Who knows? Anything's possible. Secondly, just because it's illegal or it is illegal, whatever it is, it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. All right, there's some black room with a black box, nobody knows what's going on, and they're trading with a lot of capital. If you're gonna go to war, then you already know to go short the stock exchanges around the world, or the biggest stock exchange where you have most of the money, right? Or pull out of your positions, or if the government owns stocks in major corporations, which of course they do, then what do before there's a war? They pull out of their positions. It's not that our economy is fragile in the sense that it's not moving. There's two issues that are happening right now. The price of real estate is too high, because there was too much of a demand, meaning there was another country buying up a lot of real estate in our country, more than $3 trillion. And that also affected Bitcoin and the stock market, because people can't afford to buy a house because it keeps going up, or they're making profits when they sold their house because they were able to buy it cheaper 5-6 years ago, and now they sell it. So they have all this money on hand. Where do they put it? But they put it in the stock market and cryptocurrency or other investments. And now they realize, well, they need the money. And so now they're pulling out because that one particular country is pulling out. And so that's what I see. That's what I see in the stock charts, as well as for the SPX, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ. It doesn't make any sense when I look at these charts. This isn't a normal type of pullout of our markets. It's one particular country. So if you have interest rates move so much, right? And when I used to work for the investment bank, you have another issue that could be happening, is maybe the investment banks are pulling out, or they're having to close their positions, or have to sell off assets to make a profit, or to reevaluate their company and how they're doing business. Maybe that's another issue. Because now I don't think that's the issue to the extreme, because when AIG Bear Stearns went out of business, like right before that happened, you could tell that that was happening in the stock market because it was so choppy. You had all these traders have to close out of their positions, have to take their profits where they are taking profits, and then of course having to take their losses where they had losses. That was apparent in the volatility. But the volatility today, as we speak now, that's not normal because it's so smooth. And you know, when Warren Buffett is trading, when he wants to buy up a company or buy, 20% or 10%, whatever it is, he can't tell everyone. He has to do it little by little. And so he has a number of traders and a number of investment banks helping him do that. Of course, everyone at the investment bank knows that works on the trading floor, but of course the media doesn't know. That's what is happening now, that someone has been pulling out of our markets. And it's been happening since July and September of 2021. When that happens, you could see it in the data by the volatility. That's my prediction that it's going to happen any day within, I would say, I'm predicting between mid-July and the first week of September. I want to say, it could happen later, about time everyone knows what's going on, etc. But that's what's happening now. This is not a collapsing economy. Yes, the real estate market's slowing down. They hit its peak. Yes, the stock market's hit its peak at the beginning of the new year. That was the peak. And yes, as for Bitcoin and as well, but gold's prices aren't spiking like they should. And when there's an economy that's in danger of a collapse, gold's prices would spike a lot more than it has. And so that's the major indicator right there that this is something more than just a slowing economy. Yes, we have a changing economy, meaning that it's not going to be where you're making tons of money in the real estate sector. That's an end. This is the end of it. It's now manufacturing coming back to America because we had hit a major threshold where we have become so dependent on other countries, even for important goods like Band-Aids, vaccines, medication, etc. And so the government, of course, reacted to that. Also affected our economy because where we're going to lose an economy for the real estate sector, we're going to gain it back in the manufacturing sector. So it's not like the economy is collapsing. It's going to be like 08 and 09. No. Yes, for the real estate market, but not for the economy as a whole. And so I want to thank you so much for watching. If you like my channel and want to subscribe, please do so. If you enjoy my videos, please say thank you and do thumbs up. It's right there. And please remember, send me messages to live chat and I'll respond to, I'll answer your questions through there. And please remember to share the video with at least 5 people. Thank you so much for watching.